Metabolic V2. This is a super safe and effective natural anabolic. Not only is this product going to help you increase protein synthesis, which basically means muscle recovery and growth, it also may inhibit myostatin, which is a protein in your body that is known to inhibit muscle growth. This is a complete natural anabolic that works through multiple different pathways, has multiple trademarked ingredients. If you are a natural athlete looking for that edge, Corbolic V2 is what you need. Get yourself some.
All right, guys, we got a lot to talk about, and it's going to be a week and a few days since the Olympia, but they messed up, right?
Well, I think there's been certainly a lot of controversy, yes. So that is what we are going to dive into today.
We're going to talk about the results of the Olympia. Me and Lexi were there in person with eyes on the prize. Evan was on the live stream. We're going to talk about Command the Stage. We'll talk about the Amateur Olympia. It's been a lot happening in a 10-day period.
Yes, it has.
Yes, a lot. And you know, what's funny is I don't know anybody out there that, I mean, I know I certainly didn't predict it right. I don't know anybody out there that predicted.
Get out of here. There's not one person on this planet that had Laura Lee not even making the final call out.
Right. I know. That's what I'm saying. Nobody, I think, even remotely got the top 5 right. I mean, usually somebody gets it somewhat right, but this year, not at all.
Considering how Maureen placed at Pittsburgh, there's no way anyone, I mean, we all had her in 7th or 8th.
Is a charity placing.
Yeah, right. As a she's a Miss Bikini Olympia. Well, let's
I know we're going to talk about this.
Let's first go over Command the Stage. So here's what we want from you guys right now before the episode gets going. If you're on YouTube, comment below. Did they get it right or did they get it wrong with Miss Bikini Olympia? Should it have been Maureen or should it have been anybody else? Just comment below. Because
and we'll give you our opinions on why we think the way we
and we'll talk about that in a minute. But we walked around. I mean, that was everybody at the expo when that prejudging ended was shell-shocked. We were like, what just happened? And it took some time to dig into it because you want to make sure you saw things how everyone else saw them. And we all saw it the same. Okay, so let's talk about Command the Stage. First of all, guys, we're doing our next Command the Stage in March in Fort Lauderdale. I'm going to put that announcement up soon because we had so much fun with this group. And I cannot wait to do it again.
Seriously, it was so fun. Like, I don't know about you guys, and this happens to me after any time I get home from an event, but like getting home the other day, I was just kind of like sad. It's like sad going back to reality after you're around so many awesome people for like 10 days straight. But yeah, the Command the Stage event in San Diego, that area, the Pacific Beach area was like beautiful. It was so much fun.
It was great. We had a great time for sure.
Yeah.
Way to go deep, Evan. Way to go deep on it.
I mean, it was awesome, right? It was less people than we had in the Fort Lauderdale one, which means we had more hands-on time
so
with people.
Much hands-on. And I think
especially when it came to the training parts and
not having been to Fort Lauderdale a bunch, Fort San Diego in a few years, not since COVID, because Brett moved to Fort Lauderdale, so I didn't really go visit him out there. And he was the reason I always went. Man, is it an awesome city. What a great experience.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think very much so. I'm not, don't come after me, anybody listening. I'm not a San Diego expert, but like the other times I visited San Diego, it's always been like downtown or Mission Beach. And, they're pretty, don't get me wrong, but it's very different. And like the Pacific Beach area though, oh my gosh, I was like, how have I not discovered this area beforehand? It was clean. It was like, I felt extremely safe. We walked everywhere and not one time did I feel like unsafe by anybody on the streets or anything like that. It was such a beautiful area. We were surrounded by water. Brett's gym was super convenient. And yeah, like you said, Paul, we had such a good intimate group. I feel like everybody got a lot out of it. And it was really cool at the end too. Our overall like winner, when we gave out prizes, even shed some tears in front of us. And that was really heartfelt.
Yeah, it's always awesome when you see how much people really love the sport and how much they're willing to put into it to be as good as they can be. That's just really, really inspiring to see because a lot of people want the result without putting in the work or the commitment. So it's really fun to see someone that puts in that work and a commitment, and then, which I see absolutely paying off for her, and the emotion behind it was apparent. So really, really, really cool to be able to see there and experience it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and we had a new sponsor come this year, Carmen from Nixie Hair Extensions,
Hmm.
and I actually saw her at the Olympia. I bumped into her there. She was doing a couple of the Olympians' hairs, and she shocked me because she's a couple weeks out and she had great
Hmm.
energy, and I was like, oh man, she was doing her cardio, hitting her macros, and she's got a great physique. So like,
Yeah, she does.
it was fun to have her in the mix because as a competitor, there's a lot of things that we talk about, but some of those little things like hair and makeup and stuff can get overlooked right up until the end. So it was good to have her there. So I can't wait for our next one. What we're gonna do is we're gonna announce it soon, and we're gonna do like a partial, if you want to put a little down payment to hold your spot, because this one, the San Diego one, we really waited too long to announce it. So I want to give people a heads up. There's no better place to be than Fort Lauderdale in March, and the gym is amazing that Brett has built there. So it's huge.
Mm.
Yeah.
So we'll have another good experience. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, there's just something about being able to walk outside. Like we walked to the grocery store, we walked to the gym. I
Yeah.
think, yeah, I think
We
I got
walked
a
to that.
blister on one of my feet from walking so much.
We went to that one gym. I can't remember the name of it. That's like literally right on the beach.
Ocean Pacific.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, that it
yes.
was
So
half inside, kind of half outside. Just awesome. Really,
yeah,
really
Ocean
great.
Pacific Gym. We also went to the Gym San Diego, which is like the old school IFBB Pro. I mean, they've got IFBB Pro photos from like the 90s still up on the walls.
To do.
I love that gym. I mean, don't get me wrong, I liked Ocean Pacific, but maybe it's just because I trained glutes at the Gym SD, but I love the Gym SD. I've been there before, and it's just like if I lived in San Diego, I would definitely go there. That like I just loved it. And I love how they have like the outdoor space up top.
Mm.
Which that's cool. I feel like a lot of California gyms have that because they can, just because the weather's a little bit more mild and it doesn't rain as much, compared to Florida.
And they don't have air conditioning in every house and building.
Yeah, we
Oh
had
my
no air conditioning, but we soon found we didn't need it as long as we left the doors open. But it is
Advanced
weird
guy.
to see a city that doesn't get rain because like the things that people leave outside as we're walking, I'm like, what are they doing? They're convertible cars, the top is down, like they have entire like couches and TVs just sitting outside in the open. And I'm like, this would all be ruined in one day in Florida.
Yes,
Yes, no,
easily.
that was hilarious. The first night you and I got there, Paul, a little before Evan, and we walked in and it was like we walked into our Airbnb and it was like kind of muggy inside. And immediately I went to the AC or the thermostat and was like trying to fiddle with it. And I just thought I was like stupid or something and couldn't figure it out. So then we messaged the host and they're like, yeah, there's no air conditioning. You just have to open the windows. But honestly, it ended up being fine.
Yeah, well, Evan found an
Yeah.
oscillating fan in our room and we opened the window. And at one point I got cold. So it
Yeah.
definitely didn't.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and then yeah, after Command the Stage, Paul and I went to Vegas and then Evan went back to Tampa and then that's when Olympia kind of got started.
Yeah, the Amateur Olympia was it's always one of those shows that it's you get a mixed bag because it's on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
So you've got the cachet of the Olympia, so people want to do it. But a lot of my clients are like, sorry, coach, I can't do a show on Tuesday because you got to get
Hmm.
there Sunday. You miss Monday work, you miss Tuesday work. So most of the people that end up doing that show are international competitors, South American, European, and I'm sure a decent number of like locals. Um, but the trend has really continued. So last year, I looked it up, they had 99 in the bikini division, which is still not a lot for a pro qualifier with 3 pro cards because they did 8 classes, the typical A through H. This year there was 66. So you're talking about 33 less competitors, still 3 pro cards. Um, and one of the classes had 3 competitors, I believe, like one of the, G or F or one of those middle classes. And one of the classes had like 6, which was like
Yeah.
B. And then a couple of the classes had 10 or 12. So only a couple of the classes like A, D, and H even had a call out. Um, and yet the overall winner was absolutely ridiculously good.
Yes.
You still get these when it's a pro card or pro cards online, you get really good lineups. So the show was great. In fact, my girl who took fifth in D, which was I think the biggest bikini class, she looked great, but like the girls were just bigger. You know, she's a natural competitor, and I said, yeah, we're gonna have to hit up Ben Weider next, because these girls are still showing up for bikini.
Yep.
They're high level.
And shout out to my client Stacy, who got fourth at her first national show at Amateur Olympia as well.
She got
So
fourth or third? I thought she
she
got.
ended up getting fourth.
Oh, did she? Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, I saw her. She looks great too.
That
I
was it.
told her, you got to keep going. She's right there. Um, and then of all surprises, you know, the fit model division, we've still been kind of like seeing how it goes from show to show. We don't really know. I had a competitor come from the Philippines who has been just dominating over there, who I was sure was going to do well. And then from Battle of the Bodies, Stephanie's client, Swan, made some insane improvements in a short amount of time because she did not win the overall at that show. And in fact, the overall winner was at the Amateur Olympia. Um,
Oh,
and
was it?
so, and I also had Brooklyn there, who had won 3 overalls and been top three at 3 different national shows. So I was just all day just waiting to see what happened. I think there was 44, 41, 44, somewhere in that range in fit model. That's pretty close to bikini.
Yeah.
It's getting closer. Um, and
And
so
real quick, I just looked. You're right, Paul. She got third. I had a bunch of people competing. Started getting
Yeah, yeah,
mixed up.
yeah.
She
Because
got
I
third. Yeah.
remember, I think I either took a picture, or I spoke to her after about,
Yeah.
her feedback. Because one of the nice things, Bill was backstage for finals. Bill goes backstage lately, and the only time he leaves the backstage is to come judge the overalls. So they've already made their decisions, and then as soon as they line up the overall, they call him back out. He goes and judges the overall, then goes backstage. So these competitors are
It's
getting
great.
out of there. And to be fair, this show started at 9 a.m. for all women. We
It's
were
long.
out the door, trophies in hand, lights were off by 6 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was nice.
They
But
did a real short break between it, like an hour, right? Between
literally, I think
prejudging
they
and
just did
finals.
enough breaks so the judges could eat, pee, and tabulate some scores. They just had to, figure out the scoring. Um, and then they were right back. And then, yeah, and it was, it, so the one that I was most concerned about was Brooklyn because she told me already this was her last show. She's like, I'm done. Not doing nationals, not doing anything else. I was like, okay. Um, And when she came out in that first call out, she was all the way on the right. And I was like, crap, sometimes you get missed out there. And then they moved her one spot in on the other side of the stage. So from like eighth to sixth. Then they moved her to sixth to fourth, fourth to split middle. So then I was, anticipating. So the prejudging went very well. Myra, my girl from the Philippines, and Swan, unfortunately, were in the same class, class A, and they were splitting that middle. Um, and then I had Amy who took fifth in C. And we saw, remember we talked a little bit about the young lady that won the overall at the Texas show, and everyone kind of went up and like,
Yeah.
oh, her shoulders are so big.
Hmm.
She ended up winning the B class.
And she won a pro card.
Yeah. So the overall was Swan won A, Myra took second in A. So Swan, the girl from Texas, in B. The girl in C was actually the girl that beat the one that won the overall at the Battle of the Bodies.
Oh, was she the one that ended up winning? Okay.
Yeah.
I was
So,
wondering
and
where
she's
she
the
had
one that
placed.
she was the one that didn't get the pro card. So the girl from Battle of the Bodies got second in her class.
Okay.
Um, and then Brooklyn did win her class. So we had 2 of the 4 in the overall, and they both got their pro cards with Swan winning the overall, which was, as a coach, I think I get more excited watching my coaches
Yeah.
succeed. I was literally, because I kind of knew she was going to win. You know how that, in the overall, they moved her right to the middle. Um, and so I was just filming Stephanie. I have great video of Stephanie freaking out.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love
And
that.
what's really cool about Swan too is Swan won the over 35 too. So she's a Masters competitor that won the Open, which is really
Yeah,
cool.
well, and that's one thing I've noticed about Fit Model. So Myra also was in the over 35. So Myra got beat twice. She got second in 35 and second in A. But that's something I've noticed. The Masters competitors are doing well in the Fit Model Open divisions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, Swan's one of those people too. When I think she's 36. I'm like, what? Like, I would never guess she's 36. If you've been around her, you hang around her, and like you've seen her, she, at least to me, looks way younger than that. Because I think she has like, I'm gonna say she has like a 16 or 17-year-old too. And
Hmm.
for the first time I found that out, I was like, no way. She looks really good. And we've talked about this before too. I feel like it does help if you are a masters competitor, whether you compete in the masters divisions or not. Or the master's classes or not, it definitely does help to have more of that like youthful look
Mhm.
with your skin and just overall.
And just throw it out there, she's also come to the last two command the stages that we've had in Florida. Just throwing that out there.
Oh yeah, she
Yeah.
has.
And
Yeah.
she
Hmm.
also went to one of our free seminars in Dallas 2 years ago. So
Yep, she
she's
did. She's been to a lot of
really
our
kind of
stuff.
thrown herself into the sport. And the other great thing is that Stephanie, her coach, she's not a prep coach. Like that's
Mm.
not her forte. She doesn't, but she worked with Swan through a transformation, got her to the stage. And so, she's worked with us coaches and like figuring things out. And um, I think it's awesome to see that like a good coach that's doing good things like Stephanie
Yeah,
can take an athlete like her who was just trying to lose some body fat and get her an overall win. And now she's going to be having a pro
yep.
compete.
It's
And
cool.
Stephanie is all in. She's all in on Swan, and it's great. And she's all in with all her clients. But it was really rewarding to watch that unfold in person, even at my expense. I was like, damn, poor Myra came all the way from Philippines and she got beat by another pro physique girl. But to Myra's credit, she's excited. She's got another shot at a pro card this weekend in Malaysia.
And she
So
looks awesome too. I mean,
I
she
mean,
looks great. She looks I
I,
was very shocked she didn't, but it makes sense if she's the same class as Swan. I didn't know how she went in the overall, but that makes
well,
sense.
and when I asked for feedback, Bill was like, "Don't do anything different." And I was like, "What do you mean? She got second." He goes, "It wasn't unanimous." And I was like, "Oh." So like they were very comparable. Um, they both have great looks. So like sometimes you just get beat. Like this is bodybuilding, and if you,
Yeah. And
so she.
shout out to my client Dakota too. It means good for her because she was in the overall with Swan and the other girl at there,
Yeah.
and they both placed well at Amateur Olympia. So
Well, let's talk a little bit about
it's
Battle of
good
the
for her.
Bodies because it became a show where like, holy crap, there was some
Yeah.
talent at that show. No?
Yeah. The least shocking revelation ever, the wellness girl won the overall at the Amateur
Yeah.
Olympia. The least
Yeah.
shocking thing
I'm
I've
not gonna
ever
have a heart
seen.
attack from that surprise.
Yeah.
No.
And she looked just as good. I mean,
She's
the only
insane.
the only difference was the Class A winner and the Class D winner were technically
Also
more
very good.
dense than her, but her waist and her conditioning and her size, the combination is unbelievable in person. It's fun to
It's
watch.
and then I showed you that picture of her glute density from the
Hmm.
side. It is
Yep.
like the other girls have more muscle, but her glute density, it
Yeah.
looks like it comes off like her bone by like 5 inches. It just doesn't make
Yeah.
any
She's got
sense.
really, really pretty, like, muscle insertions and like
Yeah.
structural insertions. And she's, she'll be interesting. I mean, based on what I watched the pro wellness and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a whole other level, dude. Those girls are huge. So I'll be curious to see when she does
Hey,
her pro debut.
remember though, Battle of the Body, she won the true novice.
True novice. True novice
She,
to overall in two
true
shows.
novice to overall in
So
three
we had the
weeks.
wellness overall winner got her pro card at Amateur Olympia. The bikini
Yeah.
overall winner got her pro card at Amateur Olympia. She got second or third in the overall. And then Swan, who didn't even win the overall, got her pro card also from
No.
Battle Buddies. So yeah, that was if I was Janet, I'd be posting all that right now. I haven't seen her post
Right.
that, Battle of the Bodies. You guys need to get your, because if, when somebody wins from like a Clash show, they say Clash girl wins her pro card, that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, yeah,
She
Joe
should.
to see that. Yeah. No, I'm looking at pictures of the wellness girl too. And yeah, she's got like a really tight waistline. And I feel like
Crazy.
you don't always see that in wellness. Like you'll see a lot of muscle and density, but sometimes you see more of that like drawn out waistline, which I don't know. For some people, I think it could just be core control. But yeah, she's gonna be one to watch.
She's one that literally, if you cover her upper body or cover her lower body, she looks like two different people.
Yes.
She's like,
Which is exactly what they want for that division.
yeah, that's what's cool about it. It's like it literally looks like she looks like a centaur.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
a quick story on this too. When we were at Battle of the Bodies, I was sitting there with Paul, and there was a wellness girl that came out in the novice class, and I looked over at Paul's like, "Can you imagine if you walked out and this girl was in your novice class? Because this girl was really good, like would
Oh, the
probably
one in the
win
red
most
suit. I
national
remember her.
shows, and she looked amazing. And then this other girl walked out,
Yeah.
and made her look like an amateur. I was like, what am I even looking at right
Yeah, the
now?
girl that
That
got
puts it in
second in all the
perspective.
classes,
Yeah.
that girl probably would have turned pro. I mean, she was good,
Yeah. She was very good.
but yeah, no, it was so yeah. Shout out to all the competitors from Battle of the Bodies. Um, so yeah, it was I don't know, the Amateur Olympia, they have it in the same tent where they have to meet the Olympians. It's at the host hotel, but it's on Tuesday. So I'll tell you this, there's a weird feeling being in Vegas on like Monday, Tuesday versus like Thursday, Friday. You're, I was like, it's a ghost town. There's no one.
Same. That's what you kept saying. I honestly, I wouldn't know because I didn't go to the amateur Olympia. I hung out at Brett's, but it was, yeah, you kept saying it was like a ghost town earlier in the week. And then when we went to meet the athletes on Thursday night and then the Olympia Expo on Friday, it was like traffic was everywhere. It was, yeah. It even rained in Vegas while we were there, which was so interesting. That's a total like side note, but it rained when we were there, which was so rare. But nonetheless, yeah, it was very fun, but definitely interesting week. And I think I don't know, you guys want to kind of jump right into it and go into some of the Olympia bikini controversy?
Yeah. I'm interested. I'm always interested to hear your guys' input because I always say I don't like to make a bunch of statements if I'm not there in person. But when I watched that live stream, just to be honest with you, when they did the call outs and I just shut it off and I was like, I'm not watching finals. I don't care.
Yeah, and I try to refrain to from making like statements like immediately after a show. I've had a lot of people that are like, "What do you think? What do you think?" And last night, because I knew we were recording this today, I was actually watching. There were a couple of other people that already put out like long, extensive recaps on YouTube, and I was just watching those because I generally wanted to just hear what they had to think, and see if they said anything that like really like sparked an idea in my head. And something, that I can't remember if somebody said this or if I just like was thinking about this when I was watching one of the recaps. And, I think it makes sense is, I mean, when you think about it, and this is not an excuse for judges or anything, but like, I cannot imagine truthfully, like sitting there, let's just say being Sandy or Tyler, judging 70 girls for bikini. And honestly, like at the end of the day, they're all the best of the best. They've all won a pro show. Like, I can't imagine, like, at what point do your eyes kind of just start to like get a little, like, you know what I mean? Like, do things start to bleed together a little bit? Like, I don't know. So that was an interesting thought I had. Like, if I was a judge judging 70 girls that are the best of the best, that literally look very similar, obviously different structures, but very similar, like, do things start to bleed together? Like, I don't know, right? So I just think that's like a good thing to think about.
I absolutely think it does, but that's for people placing outside the top 10. Um, Absolutely the case for that, but I don't think it's a, a validation for kind of what we saw there, at least in my opinion. And I want to touch the
No,
reason I didn't care to watch finals is, at least from what I saw on the live stream, I was like, I don't understand how they have it
yeah, they
judged the
made
way they
it.
do
You
right
you
now.
knew after prejudging who won. It was not a
Yeah,
mystery. It wasn't like,
no,
oh, it's close. They only had one
they made it
person
apparent.
in the middle, and then they had three other people go try to compare, which we saw. I've seen that multiple times at the Olympia. When they have an even number and one person stays there and everyone moves around, you know who's winning.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and I mean, the one thing to remember is so they did have classic prejudging at 9 a.m. Then they had men's physique prejudging at 11, and then they had the bikini prejudging at 1:30. I think they started. Now they did change over some of the judges, right? So it's not the same exact judges, but still the same core judges. Your Sandys, your Tylers, Bills, but they bring some other people in. Um, so I don't know if 71 is a problem.
It's so many people
I
though.
think this is, and this might be a little bit controversial, but this is where I think there's a problem. I think some of the judges are too familiar with some of the athletes. And so if you see somebody more frequently, you look for them. And this has happened to me. I've been at shows where I've seen somebody that I know and they come out and I go, oh, so and so looks great today. And then the first call out happens and I'm like, oh, I didn't even notice that girl that was literally right next to my person that I was watching. And I just went, oh, that's what happens. And so I feel like, not for nothing, the top 10 were the same. There's nobody new in that group. And you're telling me none of these European, none of these Asian women, none of these Australian athletes, none of these people that don't get to compete in the United States for 5 shows a year aren't, I mean, some of these girls, I'm looking at them, their structures,
They
their
look
fullness, and
crazy.
I'm like, how is this girl, especially some of these Chinese women? I'm like, how are these
Yeah.
girls not getting consideration? They're not even in the first two call outs, three call outs. Um, and again, I'm not a judge, and thank goodness, because that is not an easy job, especially the bikini division. But, I think what most of us are saying right now is that what we saw happen all year with the conditioning was thrown out the window for the Olympia.
And not
Yeah.
just conditioning, like the size and the
Size.
muscle and
Yeah.
all of it. Everything that's been rewarded all year was not rewarded
Yeah, I think
this
that's
year.
where it gets a little frustrating for athletes is like a lot of people, I mean, even coaches ourselves, like we're supposed to be looking at the Olympia as, okay, this is what the standard is. And it's hard when you feel like what's rewarded at one show, it's totally different than what's rewarded or what's pushed all year long. Cause I feel like, and this is not, I also want to preface this, like when we're recapping this, like congratulations to Maureen, because I don't want to downplay her win. Cause I almost kind of think like, if I was in her spot and I had people talking like so openly about this, like it may mess with me a little bit. So congratulations to her. But I also feel like, I mean, if you would have like I know athletes, pro athletes in shows earlier this season that were even a little bit bigger than her in terms of muscularity who got feedback to build, right? So I think that's where it gets confusing to athletes and coaches of like, what do they really want at the end of the day?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's man, it's
It's and
well, I'll
look for
say this.
second, third, fourth, fifth, all the other places.
Yeah,
Like
Maureen was, I
I
mean, I
understand
can't
those.
imagine she went into the Olympia thinking like, oh, I'm coming back to win. I will say, I always say this about champions, like, about Laura Lee. I've said it about her many times, about Jen Dory. They don't get down on a bad placing.
Mm-hmm.
They are in their heads always coming for the win. And so Maureen, even though she's missed the last Arnold and the last Olympia, and she got third at the Pittsburgh this year, um, I don't think she was going into this show thinking, hey, let me just show up. She obviously made some improvements. She actually added a little bit of muscle. Um, but if you compare her to her 2022 physique that won, I don't think she matched that. Um, and then, yeah, I felt like if Ashlyn was good enough to be second, I feel like she was good enough to win.
And here's my question, Paul. Um, I think Ashland, at least from what I saw, was the best Ashland that I've seen.
Hmm.
And Ashland just lost to Amy at Pittsburgh. Marine was what, like fourth or fifth at Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh, she was third.
Third. Okay. Was Marine marketably better than she was at Pittsburgh?
Yeah,
Like
I think
marketably
so.
better?
I think
Okay.
glute size, fullness wise, yes. And even in the front pose, she had a lot more detail.
Mm-hmm.
She was better, no
But
doubt. But
even again, not hating, but even I was there in Pittsburgh. We were sitting up close, and I thought Marine was placed there because she was a previous Olympic winner. I thought she was more like
yeah, she
ninth and
started on
tenth
the
in that
outside of the
lineup.
first call out and she ended up moving into like third by the end. And that was a pretty dominant performance by Amy. And then Amy shut it down after the next week. She did one New York. So that's another one that's confusing to me. Amy's beating all these girls all year. And this was the
Right.
year where she had a chance to win because Laura Lee was, we'll get into Laura Lee specifically after this, but this was the year where somebody could have won. Somebody
Right.
completely off the radar could have won. Um, you know, we're not even, talking about somebody out of the top 10. Like this could have been the year that Ari won. This could have been the year that Ashlyn won. This could have been the year that Ashley Kay won again, right?
Yeah.
Um, because Laura Lee just took herself completely out of the competition. And to have Maureen, who won it in 2022, come back and win it, you're like, man, okay. Like, what do these other girls got to do? Because they keep getting better. And I feel
I
like at
just,
least Maureen is holding still, if not, I don't think her conditioning matched her 2022 look. If you look at the pictures, she wasn't quite there. Um, and it is
Yeah.
odd when you have a Miss Bikini Olympia in 2025 win without a clear tie-in, right? Is that,
I
yeah,
heard a lot of people say that too about the tie-in, and then but it was hard because I feel like I saw so many pictures being posted on Instagram. Some were a little bit more like saturated than others, and I feel like when I looked at the pictures or like the Gilco video, I could see a tie-in. But I
yeah,
also
it's
heard,
close. It's
I
there. And
mean,
she
yeah,
doesn't have those almondy, but if you look at her 2022 win, look at those tie-ins. She has that. So sometimes these athletes are compared to their previous selves. Right? Did they get better?
Well,
Um,
and another thing that's interesting, so, and honestly, you guys, I don't know if you guys agree or disagree with this. So I know we kind of talked before we started this about how Marine does lack a little bit of that glute pop in that front pose. However, the more I look at that front pose, and you guys can probably see this too in the picture I sent you, I almost feel like I'd like to like. I feel like if she lets go of a little bit of that hyperextension in her knee, that would push that glute out a little bit more and like project it a bit more. Because see how she's kind of hyperextending her knee and she's got that foot really face towards the front, which
yeah.
sometimes can actually
You
take
know
away
what? You know
from
what
her.
she does have over Ashlyn here when I look at this?
Yeah.
A little bit better balance in her legs. Like the quad
Yes.
hamstring looks
You
a little better.
and as weird as it sounds too, like look at the back poses. And I know that bikini is not really judged on like just like calves, but obviously balance plays a big role. So if you look at her back pose compared to Ashlyn's, like the biggest thing I notice is I do feel like again she's just more balanced from a glute, hamstring, and even calf like ratio. Whereas I feel like with Ashlyn, she's just a touch more glute dominant. And I mean, we're talking like we're critiquing like very nitty
Hmm.
gritty things at this point, but I feel like if you just look at that back pose, like the glute, the hamstring, the calf, they're all very balanced. Whereas maybe
I
Ashlyn,
feel like these pictures are actually a little bit enhanced because in person I don't think they looked this good.
And
You know,
the
with the
pictures
naked
too,
eye, I don't remember Amy looking this good in the back pose.
and
So
Marine, she's not squared up in her back pose in any of the pictures either, or it doesn't seem like it's a.
well, the one that Lexi just sent, she's pretty squared up. I mean, listen, she does look good. Like, there's no disputing that. And some of these other girls are you know, when I look at them just cross, my eye goes right to glutes. Glutes seem to be the dominant feature on most of these athletes, and perhaps that's the message is they're keeping the balance. Because what did we say when we saw Jordan Brannon? We're like, wow, like those are wellness glutes. Like they've, you know, which is
Yeah.
impressive for her because that was something she was bringing up, but
oh
she did
yeah,
not make the top 10, which I
I
was
right.
mean,
like curious
Which
about.
yeah.
I think that was also I mean again kind of going back to what we discussed a couple minutes ago. I think not for nothing that is kind of confusing too because I mean Jordan is she just won two back-to-back pro shows. So like with that being said, going into the Olympia, you would potentially have her in that top 10, and I think she
Yeah,
placed.
but did she beat any of these athletes? You know, with
Yeah,
71
that's the
competitors,
thing.
I don't think any of these girls have been on stage. Like Maureen hasn't been on stage since May. Ashlyn did a show earlier in the year. Jazzy hasn't competed all year. Amy hasn't competed since May. You know, like
This is.
Vanya won the Arnold and shut it down. So yeah, you just haven't seen these girls on stage so much.
I'll tell you, at least from looking at pictures, again, pictures don't show everything. Marine from 2022 compared to now, it does look like she's added some leg size, especially in the quad. And her, she does have more glute pop in the front, but I think that's mainly due to posing. But she doesn't look as lean in the core or anywhere else.
Who are you
Could be
talking about right now?
posing. What's that?
Who are you talking about?
Marine.
You know, when I saw the Gilco video of her, I was like, oh, you know, she did look pretty good in that Gilco video, so that helped me. Um,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think she looked leaner in the core than she looks in the picture that I sent. So I will say that because I feel like that picture I sent doesn't do her core justice, just either with the shadows or even, I don't know, that could have been a millisecond where she was exhaling.
Oh,
But
I
I
was looking
think,
at her stage photos from Olympia. Like I was going through her stage
yeah,
shots.
yeah, yeah. But no, and I think it's so interesting to see the top 10 all next to each other, like looking at the pictures I'm looking at. Because, I mean, not for nothing. I feel like normally you see a lot of differences in the back pose, like not in terms of like fullness and conditioning, but like in the glute hamstring tie-in. Sometimes you see shorter insertions, longer insertions. But I'm looking at all these back poses, and honestly, I mean, especially with the top five, I feel like they all look very similar in terms of their insertions. Like, I mean, besides Lauralee, I
Yeah.
feel like her back pose is definitely very different compared to the rest of the top 10, but
well,
everybody else looks kind of
well,
similar of their structure.
let's talk about Laura Lee. Let's get into this because that changed the entire show. Like,
Absolutely.
if Laura Lee shows up like she did last year, it's obviously going to be between her and Maureen all, and I think they would have just kept it, you know, probably the top four. Um, that was so when she came out from the front, I thought, oh, okay, she's lean. Like she looked good from the front. But when she turned around from the back, something you could tell was definitely wrong. Like either she stopped training, she didn't fill out. I mean, her glutes looked like they went back several years.
I know, I know.
You
And
just wonder, like, because like we'll address it. We've heard the rumors, like maybe her and her boyfriend are split up. That could be life stress caused that did this. We don't know if that's true. We're not, I think she's been pretty quiet on social media, and I think
yeah,
he has too. I don't think last year he was sitting in the audience. He was not there this year. Um, Kim Moto hasn't really said much other than, the politically correct thing, like, some shows you win, some shows you lose. One thing we know about Lauralee, she's a freaking fighter. Like she went from second at the Olympia to sixth her first year. So believe you me, what's going to happen is everyone's going to write her off and she's going to come kick ass again. Like that's going to
Yeah,
happen.
of
yeah,
course.
yeah.
Yeah.
She's definitely one of those competitors too, as we talked about before we started this podcast. It's hard with her because she's not always notoriously known for being super consistent, right? Like with where I feel like I think Amy and even Ashlyn, great examples of like, truthfully, you don't see them showing up severely off, like ever. You know what I mean? And Ashley K too. They're all competitors that generally they show up looking very similar show to show. Whereas I feel like Lauralee is more of a wild card, but when she shows up on, like it's like lights out. But we saw her in this instance, and I think I was watching videos of her side by side from last year's Olympia to this year's Olympia, and I think comparably speaking, the front pose was very similar, but it was the back pose that was just the big shock, like the glute pop. And, I think part of it was she just needed to be tighter in the back pose, but I do think that there was an element of
I don't
the
know. Like I don't think it was a tightness issue because when I looked at her front pose again, I realized her shoulders were down and her glute pop was down in her front. And actually, her legs are thinner. Like the quad hamstring looks smaller compared to this year, which, that could be in a case where you're dehydrating an athlete. You can lose 20, 30, 40% of your muscle fullness. So I don't know if she might have looked great the next day if she went out and just had a cheat meal. I don't know. Being in
yeah,
Vegas, one of the
yeah,
competitors had to pull out. We won't say her name, but if you follow the sport, you probably know who it is. She had to pull out. She's a friend of mine. I messaged her. They said she was dehydrated. She was probably outside in the Vegas air too much, and she got dizzy and fainted, and they took her to the hospital right before prejudging. She did not get to compete, and it was simply dehydration.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so that's possible. Now, I don't think that's the case with Laura Lee. She has done the Olympia in Vegas so many times. She knows what to
Yeah,
do.
I did hear, I think she did discuss in a YouTube video like a couple weeks ago that she was, or maybe it was even sooner than a couple weeks ago, that she was holding on to a little bit of water. I think that was even before she went to Vegas. So, which is weird though, because usually if you're holding on to water and she lives in Florida and then you go to a dry climate like Vegas, usually it's going to work in your favor and it's going to help
Not if
you.
it's
But
stress,
yeah, so I don't
cortisol.
know. I
Well,
don't know
and
what went
holding
on.
water is also another way of saying holding body fat.
Yeah, not lean
It
enough.
could very well be, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I mean, it could be, again, personal stress. It could be, who knows, and I also feel like she is an athlete that everybody's always, looking at the forefront of every show. So there's got to be an element too of
Listen,
pressure.
I'll say this about all these athletes, and this is not to condemn them. I'd say out of the top 10, maybe two showed up at their best. We've seen most of these girls better. The two that
You
were at
say
their best were probably
Jazzy
Jazzy
and
and
Ashland.
Ashlyn, Cash's girls. Um, what does that mean? I don't know. But my personal philosophy when I had Ari and Daraja in the top 10 at the Olympia the same year, we were doing shows right before the Olympia because you've got to figure out that peak. If you're trying to nail it the first time the right, it's very difficult. Very difficult. So that was always my strategy was to try to like get them on stage and figure out what's working, not working, get feedback, and then go to the Olympia, and it worked. Um, so I don't know. These girls all kind of shut their seasons down early. Obviously, Ashlyn and Jazzy nailed it. But the sport is hard, and I'll say like the bikini division has been the most inconsistent division out of all the divisions. We have not had a repeat champion in years since what, Angelica, 2018?
Yeah.
Didn't
Well, Jen
Jen
Dory.
Dory?
She did not repeat. She won, lost one.
Oh, I see
You're
what you
right.
mean. Like
You're right.
consecutive wins. Yes.
Right. Like, listen, like in bodybuilding, when those bodybuilders get it right, like Chris Bumstead, they got the
Yeah.
formula. They're not losing until they retire.
I mean, I
You
think
would
there's
think,
less subjectivity in those divisions too than there is in
yeah, but you
bikini.
would think in the bikini division where there's less muscle, less need for like, ideal peaking, that there would be more consistency in the overall winners. I mean, you've had what? Yeah, you haven't had a lot of different
I mean,
winners because Maureen won and Jen
I mean,
won
Paul,
and
we, we,
Lauralee
we
won.
talk we talk about that, right? But we just also talk about how they pick the winner of Olympia. That's not consistent with the judging the rest of the year.
Well, that's
And
another
I
great.
think that's been
That's
a thing that's happened before, even with like Jen Dory. I mean, she was softer than what they had been rewarding a few years ago.
Yeah, especially the second win,
Yeah.
because when she came back to defend her title, she came in a little bit leaner, and that's when they gave it to Maureen.
Hmm.
And then she came back the next year softer, which was outside of the criteria all year, and she got the win again. And so it was like, man, okay, what's happening?
Yeah, which
Um,
is so interesting too, because maybe this is just my perception, but I don't really remember, like, I cannot think of an Olympia in the past 5 years that's gotten this much like controversy. And I feel like, Jen has always, like we said, she's always a little softer than like the rest of the mix, yet she's won the Olympia twice in the past 5 years. So I don't remember though people talking so openly afterwards, like this. I feel like if anything, when she was rewarded, people were like, "Oh, I love that look. I'm so happy it
mhm.
was rewarded," right? So like that's not for nothing. This is an observation. It's like why were people so like that with her win, and then now with Maureen's win, which I know different structures, different, but why are people so much more negative towards her win? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It makes me wonder if Jen Dory won this year, if she was in that lineup and she did bring her normal look and like she won first, would people be as controversial as they are right now with
He
Maureen?
would have, I mean, based on what
But
we're seeing here, it would have been between her and Maureen if she showed up like how she
yeah.
looked. And what
Yeah.
we used to always discuss, the three of us, maybe not openly, but I'm going to say it here, is if you dropped Maureen in any show this year, does she still win? I
Oh.
don't think so.
And
Yeah.
you take the name Marine off of that and just put that physique up there? Absolutely not.
I don't think she's winning a lot of these shows. Like, she clearly didn't win Pittsburgh. Um, maybe she's a
And
little
at
better
Pittsburgh
now.
too, and we talked about that at Pittsburgh. I that was a gift at third place. An absolute gift at third
I
place.
mean, we
She
kind
was
of
more
feel the
like
same way
ninth or
about Laura
10th.
Lee with sixth at the Olympia. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look,
it
that's
didn't
part of it.
fit her.
If you're a former Olympian champion, they're not going to throw you
Well, yeah,
outside the top six.
Even the year Issa won in 2019, when she came back in 2020, she was up like 10 pounds, was soft. They kept her in that first call out, and it
Hmm.
was like she did not belong there. But again, to her credit, she came back again, got better. But so it's just as someone watching, like, I've seen Maureen compete for years. She's actually, of all the people on that stage, that's the only girl that Daraja never beat. Daraja beat every competitor on that stage except for Maureen. She got second to her at the Battle of the Bodies. She placed just behind her at like every pro show we did. She was right there with her. So I've known Maureen has, I don't think I've ever seen Maureen place lower than second, other
Yeah.
than Pittsburgh, right? So she's always there, and she's obviously got the look that they love. It just felt like it was out of left field this year, and maybe it shouldn't have felt like that. Maybe we were the ones that were like, hmm. I mean, even people were sending me her back pose at 10 days out, like, oh, she's not ready.
I mean, I did. I was like, this ain't placing
And
nowhere.
and you know what, I guarantee what I said to you means she'll probably win. Like it just that's the way the Olympia has gone ever since I've been.
Yeah.
It doesn't the momentum of the season. It's like it's wiped clean, and then they go, nope, but this is the Olympia. Um,
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that. And I've had some people ask or, kind of comment. I've seen a lot of people comment this actually of like, oh, maybe this means they're trying to kind of rile in the bikini criteria and not make it get so big. So I don't know, but like to your point, Paul, I mean, I doubt this means we're gonna see this crazy 180 with bikini for the rest of the season.
no, 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 no,
Like
no.
I doubt people are gonna be
They
after
don't
the
have time. They don't have time to
exactly.
downsize. Like, see, what are they going to stop
Yeah,
working out and stop taking all the drugs? No,
exactly. Because that takes
they're
like
rolling into a show this weekend in Hurricane. Do you see the lineup?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, which that'll be interesting too. I don't know who the head judge is for that show. Do you, Paul?
It's normally Bill. I don't know if it's
That's what
Bill
I
this time.
thought. I don't know. Um,
I know David Herskovitz will be on the panel,
yeah, same. You said
but
Steve? You said
it was,
Paul?
I feel like it's Steve this year. I feel like I heard a name. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm a little bit off of it from, there's a lot of shows happening in the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
Um, it's usually Bill because the year that Ari got second there, it was Bill. The year
Yes.
that the year that Daraja won it, it was Joe. So it's always somebody that's kind of local. Um, but it's a big show. Like it's one of
Yeah.
the,
Hmm.
and especially I think with the new rules for bikini, a lot of these girls are trying to get their wins so they can take a break. Um,
Other points.
Yeah,
yeah, so
absolutely.
Amy Delgado being in the show was a shock because the Hurricane used to be the show where girls go, "Oh, cool, I'll do a show right after the Olympia so I can get qualified for the next Olympia." Not this
Yeah.
year.
We've got a lot. I mean, there's a lot of, yeah, big names in the Hurricane Pro.
Hmm.
We've got Massa's doing it. We've got
Yep.
Yulia. We've got Hope Castelli, and she's come pretty close a couple times this
She
season.
was second in Atlanta when I was there, but then at Battle of the Body, she was second call outs. So like
Yeah. And we've got
bigger lineups for her aren't good. She's not quite as dense as some of the girls.
yeah, and we've also got Alice Roca's doing it. Christo Bellina is doing it. Brittany Hamilton. So yeah, it'll be an interesting show for
I
sure.
mean, Alice looked fantastic at the Olympia, didn't get to the top 10.
I know.
And like I felt like she was one that was really the momentum of getting better every week. When I saw her on stage, I thought, oh, she might be sneaking in that top 10. Reina didn't even make the top 10, which was one of my
Yeah.
dark horses to be top five. Think I had her in second or
I
third.
know. That was
Um,
surprising
and
too.
when I
Yeah.
saw her, so when I was getting Lana ready backstage, Reina walked by me and I would peek over and her glutes looked great. Like they were full and I was like, okay, she's on today. So I don't know. I haven't had a chance to like dig in and see.
She's
It felt like so much
explosive.
happened that I haven't even had a chance. I need to watch the whole
Yeah.
prejudging replay again.
I'll say this. I don't know how the lighting was in person on the live stream. Prejudging, god awful.
Oh, it was good in person.
It is god awful on the live stream.
Yeah, it was good in person. The conditioning was accurate to what they look like, um, especially men's physique, because that's I judge it on the heart. Like when Ryan Terry came out, I was like, Jesus, that's the best I've ever seen him.
Right.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly, I tried to watch men's physique. It was 2.5 hours. I walked away. It was an hour and 45 minutes later. They were still doing individuals. I was like, this
yeah,
is an asinine.
yeah,
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Asinine.
yep. No, the nice thing about the men's
And
physique
boy, they
division
take their
is,
time too on stage. Them
oh
boys
yeah,
take their
yeah,
sweet time. Like oh my, it drives me nuts.
yeah.
Yeah. I feel like they almost need to do, I've heard a couple people speak about this, but I feel like they almost need to do for bikini,
Preliminaries.
first call outs and second call outs, maybe third call outs, and then after that, just kind of like do an elimination round
There
almost.
needs
Just
to be an
be like,
elimination round prior to
yeah,
it.
because again, going back to what I said at the beginning, at the end of the day, it's almost like if you look at all the girls that were in like third call outs, fourth call outs, and beyond, like they all comparably look very like similar, very much so as good as one another. So it's almost like I just feel like the judges need to do first call out, second call outs, maybe a third call out, and then just end it at that rather than bringing everybody out for, fourth call outs, fifth call outs, sixth call outs.
I'll say this. There is a 0% chance that somebody that came in that looked like the best bikini competitor ever, and they'd never heard of her before, out of 70 something people, there's a 0% chance she gets in the first call out in
It's
bikini.
unfortunate. It's very unfortunate because I
0%
felt
chance.
like there is just
There's too many
unintentionally
people.
a bias towards athletes that you see all the
Yeah.
time. And I like, listen, it's a small sport. Like these judges are freaking traveling around the world. They judge a show every weekend. It's not their damn fault.
No, it's
I,
real. What I'm saying is it's not on the judges.
right.
It's not their fault. It's when you see people, you get accustomed to seeing people. And
Yes, it's a psychological fact.
when people place well, that becomes a standard. And that's just how it works.
Yeah.
We're talking how many of these Asian girls I'd never heard of look nuts.
Insane. It's like they have no
Insane.
waist, huge glutes. They're
How
beautiful.
How are
And
they
then
not
they're in
getting any
sixth
look?
call outs and you're like, what the heck is happening? Yeah.
Well, I think something I want to ask you guys about, because I think this would be valuable to our listeners, is so with the caveat of what I said a second ago about like some people thinking, oh, this maybe means that they're, trying to rile in the bikini division, making it a little bit more like the standard being a little bit smaller. What would you guys say, or what would you advise to athletes listening who are bikini, whether it's a pro or an amateur? Do you think it's worth trying to downsize because of what we saw being rewarded at the Olympia? I think we should just like put that one out there right off the get-go.
We talked about this. The winner of the amateur Olympia was more conditioned and had more muscle than Marine did.
Yeah.
The winner of the amateur Olympia.
So the answer would be no. If you're thinking you need to down,
Well, I mean, ultimately, you have to get the feedback from the judges because do
right?
you need more muscle? It could come down to your structure, right?
Yeah.
Maureen is a very dense person with a very pretty structure. I think what most girls are doing is they're trying to overcome their structure or overcome their genetic lack of glute size by putting on glutes, using drugs. Some of the girls don't need that. Some girls just wake up and have a big bubbly butt. Like that's a thing.
Yeah.
I got a girl right now that's about to compete. You guys, I probably showed you Lauren's
Hmm.
pictures
Yep.
over and
I knew
over.
you were going to say that was
Like
her.
this girl has the Ashley K Ariana butt. Like it's just the upper glute is so full.
Yeah.
Um, but girls that don't have that genetically have to overcome that somehow. And so you gotta just compete and get feedback from the judges. So don't take it from us that you should or shouldn't add
Yeah.
size. You gotta go compete to figure out because I will say this. They like certain competitors to look a certain way. Some girls they like them big and full, some girls they like them super tight. And I think that's on the competitor to figure out what the
Hmm.
judges like them best. You
I
know,
It,
agree.
it's also really important to note too. Just because judges give you feedback and you implement that feedback doesn't mean it translates to a better look on stage. I mean, Samson Dowda talked about that. They wanted him leaner, leaner, leaner. He got leaner, but he lost a little of that fullness pop, and it cost him in placing. It cost him 3 spots. He came back tighter, but it did not equate to a better look on stage. So you can do everything the judges
the tough
say to
lesson to
do.
learn is sometimes you got to trust yourself.
Yeah. Something you can do exactly what the judges say and come in, and you may place worse because in their head, this is what they think will make you look better
Well,
and be
so
more
I mean, I'll give you a
competitive.
perfect
But until
example.
they see it, they don't know.
Last year, Brittany Hamilton and I started her season at the Wasatch Warrior. She took second to Amy Delgado, who was at the time number 4 and 5 in the world. Whatever. Just you're not beating Amy unless your name is Maureen, apparently. Um, we took second. We got feedback. Too much muscle, too big. She never placed that high again in the rest of the season. So like the feedback that we got was maybe correct, but it didn't translate to better placings. And if we'd have just kept showing up the way she showed up at Wasatch, I had a feeling we would have won one of those shows. And to the point where like that's now the look that she's bringing to the stage again to try to win. She's still placing in the same placing, 4 5s. But yeah, that was one of those shows where I was like, she was kind of hurt that the feedback was getting smaller, and I was like, you just got second, like at a pro show with one of the best in the world. So it's like sometimes you just got to understand what's going on. Sometimes what I'll say to the judges, hey, if we implemented this feedback, would we beat this person? And they'll be like, no. The other thing sometimes you just have to face is sometimes just people are better. Even when they're not at their best, they're better than you.
Yep. Hmm.
That's the thing about bodybuilding. Like we saw it with the open division with the bodybuilding. Like if Nick doesn't bring his absolute dialed in, locked in best, he does not compare well to the other guys. When he is
Nope.
like he was in Pittsburgh, you go, man, he could win the Olympia.
You could beat anybody. Yep.
Right. And then, but if he doesn't bring that look, whereas like I feel like guys like Hani and Derek, even if they're slightly off, they're still really freaking good.
Hmm. Same as Samson. You could be 90% and be good enough to win 99% of shows.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's one of those things. Bodybuilding has a lot of predetermined genetic things that are going to make people better. Um, and that's kind of the fun of it. Is you got to try to overcome. It's like a chess match. How do I
Yeah.
overcome this thing? And that's what the girls in
Yeah.
the bikini are trying to do. They're trying to chess match their way to the Olympia. Um,
That's a good analogy. I feel like
Yeah.
that's very true. It is like a chess match or a puzzle you're kind of trying to piece together.
That's what it is. There's no one answer for everybody. And as far as the bikini division is concerned, I think next year it could be very different with Fit Model Pros coming in. I think that could very much change things. I think it's going to be a really interesting year. The older I get, the more I just look at things as being like, oh, cool, this is an interesting wrinkle, right? Not
Yeah.
either good or bad, but like this will just be interesting to be a part of and see. Because I mean, shit, Paul, we were talking, I think all of us were talking in there based off the picture we saw in Marine. We're like, man, she'd kill us a pit model,
Yeah.
a few weeks
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, but she's way too muscular for fit model.
I
And
was
this
Yeah,
is
gonna
my concern with
say.
Lana is like, I'm like, Lana, I don't know how we hide your muscle. You are freaking
maybe
jacked.
See, that's the
we'll see
thing.
though. I mean, it could,
Yeah, that's the thing I'm really curious to see. So this was obviously the last Olympia where Fit Model is not a part of the Olympia, but I'm really curious to see, like, I do feel like we're going to see a couple of, probably more than a couple, like several current bikini pros. Now, that's not to say they're Olympians, but just bikini pros. I think we'll see them do Fit Model next year, and I'm curious to see what the judges reward there. Because personally, for me, I feel like if somebody's good enough to turn pro in bikini, like recently, they're too big for Fit Model. But if that's what they reward, if those people try Fit Model, that's going to send a different message, and that could stir up a ton of other controversy, right? Considering Fit Model should
So
be,
far, I have been over the moon with the judging. Okay.
yeah.
At the Amateur Olympia in fit model, there were multiple girls that when they came out, I was like, damn, that girl looks amazing. Great tight core, a little bit of a tie-in. Nope. Get
No,
out.
I love what they rewarded for. I love, of course, maybe I'm biased because Swan and Brooklyn are both pro physique ladies, but like I love that they rewarded that look. It wasn't too much. It wasn't, if you see them in person, they're not overly
The
lean. They're
most
also not,
impressive physique did not win in fit model. The most fit model physique won, which is
yeah.
what used to be the case in bikini. And now I feel like it's the most impressive physique is winning in bikini, not the one that is bikini.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm
outside of the
saying though.
Olympia.
It'll be interesting when the pro shows for fit models start because I don't know how that's going to skew. Like, will it skew what they're rewarding? Seeing different girls that maybe are coming, away from pro bikini going to fit model. Will that skew what they're rewarding? I don't know. So it'll just be something that is interesting to observe. Because as of right now, I agree with you, Paul. I 100% love what they've been rewarding for fit model.
Yeah. Well, we've had 5 girls turn pro this year in fit model. And I think that's a good indication that as soon as this division was announced, the whole team kind of just like was like, okay, this
Mhm.
is what they want. And I think we probably got a couple more opportunities this year between the Ben Weeder, the Caribbean show, the Nationals. We've got a lot of girls that have been knocking at the door that are ready. I know Evan's got a girl knocking at the door. So like we're continuing to pay attention to that. I think what a lot of people are thinking is, oh, with this change in bikini, is that going to change fit model? I think if anything, it's going to keep fit model freaking fit model. Like, because we're all
Yeah.
worried that one day they're going to go, hey, that's okay. You have striated shoulders and tie-ins. You're still fit model. And then we're like, oh crap, right? That's that's what we got to figure out is like, are they going to do a good job keeping it? Because they did it for years with bikini, and it just felt like this last 2 years, they were like, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And subsequently, I mean, I haven't done the numbers on my stats. You guys know I love my like bikini stat numbers. Let me tell you, it is way down this year in numbers in bikini. Like, we'll talk about it on the next one, but I mean, we had 106 competitors at North Americans in bikini. There was a year where there was 260 a couple of years ago. And now we're looking at the Amateur Olympia, which used to be around 150 to 200, down to 66 bikini competitors. I was like, they should have done 4 classes. They're giving out 3 pro cards regardless. Why are they doing 8 classes? Do four
Yeah.
classes, make each class, 15 girls. They had a class with 3 girls.
No.
Like you can't have. Why do you have A through H if you have 3 girls? Yeah.
I think, and look, this is all just wishes and dreams, which don't mean anything. I think the heyday of bikini when it wasn't what it is now and not soft as fit model is now was what drew the most people because girls like to be lean and conditioned and have muscle. They just don't want it to go
You
so
just
far
reminded me of something.
overboard.
Guess who I spoke to at the Olympia about this?
Who's that?
Angelica Teixeira.
Uh,
So
Oh.
I did a video on why Fit Model was created. She watched the video. And in that video, I said, I believe the reason that Angelica retired is because she didn't like the direction of the bikini division was going. I was right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I
So,
hope she's more, I hope she talks
and
more openly about that too in upcoming like podcast, YouTube
I
You
videos.
gotta
don't
be
think
so
she ever will,
careful.
because
You gotta be so careful.
the IFBB has created her success and her livelihood. So, and it's the same thing. You can't demonize a sport that's built on
Mm-mm.
more muscle all the time. Like,
It's
Right.
progressing. It's
yeah,
bodybuilding. It's
like
going to progress.
it's very hard to manage that. So, like, I don't actually have a problem with girls adding muscle. It's just that the criteria is changing before our eyes. And that's what's scaring the women away. Because when it was at its biggest, who were the champions? Angelica, Courtney, you know,
Janet.
Janet was always in the mix those years. Those years, like, I mean, honestly, those girls looked amazing. Like, when I was doing my video review, I went and looked up those Olympia pictures. No tie-ins, but just beautiful structures, beautiful muscularity. Um,
And I think tie-ins, or I think most girls that compete want a tie-in. They just don't want all the other crazy density that comes with it.
well, and to be fair, girls with really pretty glute insertions and a decent amount of muscle, they're gonna have tie-ins even at a higher body fat percentage. I've
Hmm.
got girls, sometimes they'll have 12 weeks out, they have tie-ins, and they still have a belly.
I mean,
I just
that's wellness competitors. You watch any wellness girl, they could
right,
be 30 pounds over their stage weight and they
right,
bend over in the mirror and it's like peeled everywhere because there's
right,
just so much muscle back there.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
No, it'll be interesting. I'm excited to see what we have who wins Hurricane this weekend. So we shall see. I guess we'll report back next week with that.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say Alice is gonna win.
Ooh. Honestly, I don't know
Maybe.
until I don't know. I don't know. Until
She's on that. Like, I've seen her at 3 or 4 shows now get better, and at the Olympia, she had the wow factor that I was like, she belongs in that top
Talking about
10.
Alice Roca.
Yeah, and like, there's a few things that you want out of your bikini Olympia champion. She's got all of it. She's freaking gorgeous. She's got the great hair, great structure. She brings the conditioning. I was a little shocked she wasn't in that top 10. I think.
I was
Well,
too. I don't even think she was in the top 15. So that, or maybe she
no,
was.
she wasn't.
Yeah,
Let's
so
not
that
look.
that was really shocking because honestly, I had her as a potential one to sneak into the top
I
15.
mean,
Ali
we all
vouched
know
I
for
just
Amy's
don't
gonna
think she
win, but
hasn't had
like,
enough time in the league, in my
I feel like
opinion. And Paul,
Amy's
do you remember
conditioning was a
earlier
little
this year?
off. What's
Do you
that?
remember earlier this year at Girl Power when Ariana won, and I was like, I don't know how Alice Roca didn't win.
Yeah,
Right.
Remember
I
that?
was with you. I
Yeah.
was with you at
Yeah.
that show, Evan, and I remember you
She
said that.
stood out like, and I'd never seen her before then. That was the first time I've ever seen her.
Yeah. She's got that, like, because she's tall, and, she's got that model-esque look to her. Very defined, features. Yeah. I remember when she won the overall junior OSAs, that
I
she came
will.
out, and I don't remember what athletes I had there, if I had anybody turn pro, but I just remember when she came out, I was like, oh, show's over.
I literally always remember you saying that, Paul. Like before, when she turned pro, I think it was before she even won her pro or competed as a pro. I always remember you said she's gonna be somebody to watch out for, and like you predicted that one right for sure. So yeah, I'll be curious to watch this weekend. So we shall see. But I hope we get some good comments on this YouTube podcast as well. Hopefully, people chime in below. I just am really curious to hear people's thoughts. Not that there's anything right or wrong you could comment. I just would love to hear everybody's thoughts, kind of questions too. I try to pop in on the YouTube comments and answer questions if I can. So yeah, comment below. Let us know what questions you guys have and what you thought about the whole Bikini Olympia this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Any final thoughts you guys have for this one?
Nope. Just got a text message from the school that my daughter is sick, so I got to go pick her up.
Oh, well, perfect timing.
Oh,
I guess we will wrap this one up.
Poor
Um,
little Everly. She vomited.
oh, fun. Fun, Paul. You've got a fun afternoon. But and
Oh, I
also
don't want that.
before
Hopefully, it's not coming to data.
Oh gosh. Well, before we end this, I do want to say shout out to because we had a couple people. I know Paul and I both had a couple people at the expo that stopped us and specifically were like, "Oh, I listened to the podcast." And I know we always say this when we go to events, but truthfully, we love that. I'm trying to remember names. I know Audie, there was if she's listening, which I'm sure she is, she was one of them. And there were a couple of other people that stopped. I'm just terrible with names, so I apologize, but it means a lot to us. So,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yep.
um
All right,
all
guys.
right, guys. Thanks for
Thanks for
listening.
listening.
Appreciate it, guys.